That's when you thought it was over, we started it over. Just a different chapter, but still part of the story. Spirit of a patriot, but the heart of a soldier. If you wasn't part of the grind, you can't be part of the glory. We right here, we ain't going nowhere. It's your worst nightmare, we back and they all scared. Every year is our year, the defense is top tier. Whenever you see that red and blue, it's a new era, they too scared of us. I don't know who said it was over, but they lied. The truth never miss, kicking down the door like who let him in. We been grinding, and we ain't worried about the small talk, we big timers.
Yeah, can't believe it, we ain't leaving. Yeah, we achieving, can't be beaten. Say it loud, say it proud from the top of my lungs. Hometown, sacred ground, you ain't trying with us. Around this time, you really can't deny. You can't run, you can't hide when the Patriot comes.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Patriots Friday Night Lights podcast. OTAs are kind of starting to wrap up. We have mini camp, I think, starting on the 9th. So not a ton to really kind of go over at the moment. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the Stefon Diggs video. That seems to kind of be the only thing that's being talked about right now. I think Felger and Maz, or, those fucking weirdos over there, are talking about that there's rumors that Diggs could be cut. I think that's a bunch of crap. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think they're just kind of losing their minds on what to actually fucking talk about at this point. If you guys haven't seen it, the video is Stefon Diggs on a boat. There's a bunch of women, and he has this bag that has like this pink thing in it. Everyone first started kind of talking that it was cocaine or something. I don't think he'd be stupid enough to have someone with a fucking camera on the boat if he was going to have cocaine on the boat, right? That's kind of fucking crazy. I saw someone mention, which this makes the most sense to me. There's like a bag that is for weed, basically, and the pink thing is a lighter, which, right, smoking weed, who cares? Like, that's not a big deal. I don't know why he had someone with a camera in the first place. I think that's kind of fucking stupid, right? Even if it is just weed, like, that's still stupid, right? Because now it's like a whole thing, right? Diggs not being at practice is a whole thing. Yeah, I don't think he did anything illegal, but I think he's a fucking idiot. Like, why is there anyone there with a camera? Like you know who you are, like, and you're, surrounded by all these women, and you have these, unknown substances or whatever, which is probably weed. Even weed is still not like the best look, right? That's not what NFL teams want their, multi-million-dollar receiver doing, is just smoking weed on a boat, not giving a care in the world. So I think he's more of just kind of being an idiot, which sucks because, like, he's obviously supposed to be the number one receiver on our team, or he's obviously the best offensive player that we have, just with the pure fact of experience that he brings to the table. So I don't know if anything's going to happen from it. I think there's going to be some sort of fine. Like, I think you can fine for just, like, detriment to the team kind of action. So I think that's going to probably what's going to end up happening. Right? You can't really suspend him because he's probably going to miss games anyways, just with the ACL. So I don't really see the team wanting to do that. I think there's just going to be like a fine or something. When Vrabel was asked about it at OTAs, to me, he didn't really sound overly concerned. He just kind of brushed it off and didn't really act like it was anything serious. Right? He didn't, like, totally, push off the questions. He was able to answer them, but the vibes that I was getting was that he wasn't too concerned with it. Right? He talked to Stefon Diggs. That's the end of the conversation. And hopefully that's true, because I want to see Stefon Diggs play the minute that he can. I hope this isn't really as big of a deal as everyone's making it seem like. Diggs eventually is going to have to be on the podium and say something. Like, I feel like there's got to be some sort of statement coming. Mini camp is not this coming week, but the week after. I would assume that's when we're going to hear something, right? It's mandatory minicamp, right? Everyone's going to be there. So I'm assuming we're going to hear just some statement from Stefan Diggs or from coach or something. Because they're both going to have to eventually face it, right? Like, this isn't something that's just going to blow over. There's going to be some sort of outcome from this, clearly, because it's the biggest fucking talk in Boston right now with the Patriots. So something's going to happen, and I think it's going to be during mini camp, right? They're going to take their time kind of figuring this out. There's no rush in getting it done, right? Once they need to face the media, they're going to face the media. So I don't know. Maybe a fine, maybe nothing, right? If he's just smoking weed and he's just being an idiot, then maybe nothing happens. But I still think there's so you can get a fine just for having some sort of activity that negatively affects the team. So I think something like that's going to happen. It'd be minor, and no one's going to give a fuck about it after it happens. But besides that, let's talk about how OTs have been. Obviously, we knew about the first practice with Drake May having the 4 interceptions. I didn't really think that was a big deal. Like, this is like the first time he's been throwing to people, since the season. So, right, Josh Allen, he threw 3 interceptions in his practice. Like, it doesn't matter, and he's an MVP. This time around, no interceptions. I guess he started off slow or something, then started kind of heating back up. There's no pads, there's no hitting or anything like that. And I think that's where Drake really is able to shine, is when there's actually people about to try to hit him, right? He can run out of the pocket. He's bigger body. He can take it and, run down the field with it. So I think this is kind of limiting his game, right? And I think the biggest thing is he is learning a new offense, and it's Josh McDaniels, right? It's going to be a super complicated offense that's going to be all put on Drake, right? That's how it kind of was with Tom. And I think Drake has the personality and the mindset to be able to handle it. So I think that's what they're going to do, is just put it all on him, let him kind of figure it out. There's going to be a lot of growing pains kind of leading up to the NFL season. But that's what it sounds like is happening. It's just, right, he's still kind of learning as he goes. So everything's not super polished at the moment. But I do like, right, that's like the only thing I'm really hearing about, right, there being complications, is Drake just kind of learning the offense. Because I think the thing is, right, he's going to be taking most of that offense, right? It's going to be put all on his shoulders. So he's going to be the one who's going to struggle at first, I think, the most. Receiver-wise, they're just kind of running, right? They're not really doing too much. I haven't really heard about them struggling with, lining up and running the right routes and stuff, right? Right. We saw the video of Polk and Baker dropping that ball on the drill. That's like really the only negative I've heard about that. Offensive line, I haven't really heard anything negative, which is nice, because last year that was kind of immediate. I was hearing that the offensive line was kind of garbage to begin with, and that they were struggling the whole time. And that was kind of a day one news thing. So not to hear anything about them is great at this point. The defensive line, I've heard, has just been a monster. I've heard just as a collective group, they've just been excelling. Obviously, Barmore and Milton, I've heard they're doing great, right? We want them to be doing great. But that's really it. There's not a lot going on. There's only been 2 practices. So, right, the only negative was that Drake May 4 interception thing, to be completely honest, which obviously I don't think is anything. It's right. It's one practice, the first practice of the entire year, and everyone's going to be struggling. So I don't have any concern with that. Right. Obviously, if it gets into training camp and he's still struggling and he doesn't really seem like he has a good grip on the offense, then I think that's when you kind of put the lights on and puts on the alarm and everything, because at that point he should have a grasp on this. It sounds like he's staying late after practice, or he's getting in there early. He's putting in a lot of work. That's what everyone's mentioning, is how much work he's been putting in. So I don't think I think it's just a super complicated offense, and it's going to be put all on him. So I think there's going to be a pretty big learning curve for him just to kind of figure that out. But I think Josh McDaniels is the perfect coach to be able to do that for him, right? Josh McDaniels is going to have all the answers. So if Drake May feels like he is processing a lot, right? McDaniels is going to help him process that along the way. So Drake's not really alone, right? He's going to have, the offensive mastermind that is Josh McDaniels to help him through it. So I'm not too concerned about it, right? Once it's training camp, that's when we should be really concerned. Another thing with training camp, Kyle Williams, that was the receiver that I really wanted the most coming into the draft. So I was super stoked when we got him, especially as late as we did. I thought he was going to be a second-round pick. I didn't expect him to keep dropping. I've heard he's been really good. I've heard that he's, playing with Drake. He's playing with all the quarterbacks, so he's kind of moving around. They're still figuring out where they want him. Sounds like he's going to be the X. That seems to be the most common thing that he's doing. And I've heard that he's been super impressive just with how quick he is off the line. Like everything you heard about in the draft, quick off the line, crazy burst after the catch, or all those that are kind of living up to the hype at the moment. Right. We saw the videos of him going with a deep ball and Drake bombing it to him. There's been stories of him going up against Gonzo and putting up a good fight. So I'm super excited about Kyle Williams. It sounds like he's so far living up to the hype, which is super exciting. And then Travion Henderson, he's been getting a lot of good praise. Right, obviously he's not doing a lot of the pass blocking, which is what he's really known for, but the pass catching and his ability to kind of run routes sounds like he's super quick. So the translation of his speed from college to the pros seems like it's going on full swing. So that's perfect. Mondre came back. We saw him at the last OTAs. So it sounds like they're slowly going to transition him back in. So we didn't really get to see too much. I haven't heard too much about Mondre being back, but he is back. So that's awesome, especially with what's going on with his dad. That's really good to see. Christian Barmer seems to still be healthy, right? He's still full go and expected to play week 1. So there's no worries with him, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much going on, right? It's kind of a slow week. I think after next week, when minicamp comes in, that's when we're really going to start to get a lot of the looks and feels of the team, right? The media is going to be there a bunch, so we're going to get a lot of content then. So that's going to be super exciting. Today, I guess Edelman went to the practice, and he said that his excitement is through the roof at the moment, just being able to watch Vrabel kind of coach this team and just seeing where the team is at. It looked like he was able to kind of give him a speech and everything. So hearing from Edelman, obviously, right, he's the newest Hall of Famer, right, my favorite player of all time. Hearing him say that he's super pumped about this and what he saw is pretty exciting, right? And that's another player talking about Vrabel being this coach that everyone wants to play for and that he's super exciting, ton of energy. It's gonna be nice going into a year where we don't have to worry about coaching. I feel like that's what we've been kind of dealing with the past few years is, right, all these mistakes, like the stupid mistakes that our teams are doing, right? The offside penalties, holding, right? Obviously the Raiders game where we fucking threw it, 10 yards back and having Mac Jones get slammed by Chandler Jones, right? Just stupid shit like that, fumbles, turnovers, anything, right? I think a lot of it had to do with our coaching because it was every single game and there was no changes made whatsoever. So I'm glad that should be done, right? Obviously, this is only one off season, so right, we could still have a ton of shit like that happen, but I think it's gonna be significantly less with this incredible coaching staff that we've been able to create, starting with Mike Vrabel. That's gonna be such a breath of fresh air, and I'm so pumped for it. Right, we heard all off season, like all the players that we're bringing in, saying that Vrabel was, a massive reason why they came over, and all the rookies talking about Vrabel. Right, Will Campbell saying that like he's the exact same kind of guy. So having Vrabel be like this massive reason for this team, for people to come in and to get this praise about this team is super exciting. That's something that we've been really looking for a while, especially having Gerard Mayo. Right? We all know how that ended up. So, and just the disaster, situational coaching that was happening and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really nice. I'm really excited. But yeah, there's really not much to talk about. I don't have any comments. So if you guys have anything to kind of bring up, but so I'm just looking forward to minicamp. Right, we'll get a lot of topics, a lot of information from that, which will be super exciting. It's mandatory, so everyone's going to be there. So I expect Stefan Diggs to be there. I think they're going to make him go there, and I think that's when we're going to find out more about this stupid fucking video that we have to fucking deal with. Right, is it Felger and Maz, and then who's the fucking idiot with the glasses that he's always wearing the glasses, right? Those fucking assholes. That's all they're talking about, and they're bringing up, oh yeah, I know someone in there, and they're saying that cutting Diggs is definitely on the table, and like I've never seen them talk about a subject more in my entire fucking life, and of course it's like the most negative fucking bullshit of the entire fucking offseason. And these guys are just chirping out the mouth, and they're just, foaming, and like this is like the most exciting that it's ever been for them. Right? These guys fucking suck, and like this is all they want to talk about is how negative he is. They're talking about there was a fucking video that they posted saying that Josh Dobbs is outperforming Drake May, and that we need to be concerned. Like that's fucking. Are you out of your fucking mind? I literally, if you just look into it, Josh Dobbs was horrible. Like all the easy passes, he was just dumping them like 10 yards over our receivers, right? Posting bullshit like that is so fucking stupid. I don't fucking like them. And the Stefan Diggs thing is just right, making them so much louder because this is all they want to talk about. And they're just going to come up with bullshit stories about that. There's talks of him getting cut and all this shit, and that there's other stuff going on. This other shit that's been going on. We didn't hear a single thing about, until this fucking video came out. So I want to hear about this other bullshit of, there's other stuff going on. Because there isn't. Because we would have heard something, right? It's been nothing but pure positivity up until the video. And I don't think this video is a big deal, right? Diggs is going to, right? He talked to coach, right? Coach talked to him. Seems like it's resolved. Boom. Right? The NFL is going to deal with it. Doesn't sound like there's an investigation going on. So who gives a fuck? Right? He's going to have a press conference where he's like, yeah, it was, I did something stupid. All right. Right. Someone's probably going to ask him if it's cocaine. He's not going to answer it because, right, he's going to have to be, on his fucking tiptoes with it. But it's not cocaine. If it was cocaine and there's like a legitimate chance that it was cocaine, the NFL would be investigating it by now. Right? The video's been out for days, and the NFL would have definitely done something by now. So I maybe a fine. Who gives a fuck, right? Just move on. So we'll hear about it in a couple of weeks, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of it. So we'll hopefully see you guys next week. We'll kind of figure out what's going on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys later.
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
Okay, do you feel like the talent you have here is good enough?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
What is your responsibility?
I'm just asking, do you think you've done enough to help Tom Brady?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.